What's up, y'all? You're now listening to the What Now podcast. I'm Dr. Spencer Dupre, owner of Empower Chiropractic.
And I am Dr. Zach Thompson, owner of Within Chiropractic. The purpose of this podcast is to document and share the experiences of two young business owners as we open our own brick-and-mortar chiropractic practices. Join along as we discuss all of our wins, our losses, insights, and the many, many lessons we learned.
As a disclaimer, none of this is ever intended to be medical, legal, or financial advice. Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another awesome episode of the What Now podcast. I'm Dr. Spencer Dupre, officially licensed. I've been licensed, but anyway, with my buddy, Dr. Zach Thompson. What's up, guys?
What is going on, everybody? Spencer's been licensed the entire time I believe we've done this podcast. That's not a new revelation to him. But yeah, just in case
I feel
you
weird
didn't know,
talking about my credentials sometimes.
In case you forgot, Dr. Spencer Dupre does have his license. There we go.
Licensed in Texas.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Did you know that you're actually supposed to say that, like, in all of your stuff, say that you are licensed in Texas? Like, it's on the paper, like on your Instagram, like it says Dr. Zach Thompson. It should say licensed in Texas.
I didn't know that. There's so many things I don't know.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about things that we do maybe think that we know. So what's up, Zach? What's new? Let's share a win from last week. What's been going on with that?
Yeah, there's been quite a bit. I think actually one of the biggest wins happened yesterday, and I had a new patient sign on. He came through a screening we did at a local gym, and he signs on to care. He was a little skeptical. He's 22, 23, never seen a chiropractor, totally understandable. He was like, this makes sense. I just don't know, skeptical if he's going to see the results that we had talked about. And right after his report finished and he signed on to care, he saw another guy walk in, and they both go to the same gym. So after this guy that walked in got adjusted and left, they saw each other at said gym. And the guy actually went up to him and was like, hey man, I saw you were over at Within Chiropractic. Have you seen any results or anything like that? And the guy texted me. He's like, hey, that new guy just came up to me, and I let him know, not only has my pain gone away, but my life, my overall body wellness, mental space has all changed too. And I was like, dang, that's really cool just to see the community start to form as we wrap up the 7th month, or really start the 7th month of practice. Is like, all right, now I'm starting to see the community really start to lean on one another, and start to see in-person validation begin to occur. So that was super, super neat, and that's happened a few times in the past few weeks. And so it's just great to see the power that is public validation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. Yeah, I think one of the best parts is whenever people are in the waiting room and they know each other and they're like, oh man, you come here, or they just start talking and they're like, how's it been for you so far? And they're like, wow, I've seen such amazing results. And that's really cool. Yeah. I feel like the wins, it's so hard not to say that your wins are results for your the people that you serve, because that's why we do what we do. I just had a mom, she made this huge post on Instagram and saying that it was her son's 4th birthday. This is the first birthday that he doesn't spend in the NICU. That's amazing. That's so crazy.
That's pretty absurd.
Yeah, a kid has been intubated on helium because even the oxygen doesn't expand his lungs because he suffers from croup and insane pulmonary issues. And after 3 weeks, for them to say he hasn't even coughed once is so cool. That's a huge win. Give me a personal win for you, because I feel like we talk, practice wins are awesome. We talk about those all the time. What's a personal win for you?
Personal win. Ooh. We talk about it all the time, not good at the personal reflection. Can definitely work on that. Good thing we don't.
That's what I'm asking you.
Good thing we don't like psychologists on this. They would just rip me apart. I would say personal win would probably be, I don't know, last week, it sounds silly, but last week was the first time in a long time where I was 6 for 7 days in the gym. Felt super,
nice.
super good. And then I actually just recently, I've tried literally every diet except counting macros, and a local local supplement store does like complimentary meal plans. And so I went through and I was like, I'll do it. We are referral partners with one another. And so this is my second day counting macros. I'm in a pretty severe deficit too. And so it's like, all right, this is fun. So I guess a personal win is, finally trusting someone else on the nutrition side, because I still got some baby fat, if you will, to get rid of, for sure.
You're gonna be a lean, mean machine.
That's the goal. That's the goal. Yeah.
Dang, I
Yeah.
know. Well,
It
I'm gonna have
was
to catch up. I have to hop
it
on the
was
wagon.
it was pretty funny. The guy we talk about, what we do when we're seeing each other, and obviously I bring up stress quite a bit, since that's something we work with a lot as nervous system based chiropractors. And I did the in-body 20 scan, or the in-body scan, and it measures your visceral fat. My visceral fat did not match like what else was going on. He's like, "Are you stressed?" And I was like, "Dude, I just opened a business 7 months ago. Like, of course I'm stressed." He's like, "Yeah, you're very stressed." I was like, "I don't feel
Yeah.
very stressed."
Oh,
But we're
have have
definitely.
you have you done an HRV on yourself in a while?
I mean, I tried my HRV through my Aura ring. But I need
No, like
to.
I'm talking like on your
Yeah, no, I
inside.
know, I know. I haven't done one in probably 6 weeks.
Yeah, because my HRV is like insanely high. And but my balance is whack. Um, I did that the other day. But yeah, I do the in-body scans too. It's a really cool indicator. It really, man, it's crazy how we think like, oh man, we're so self-aware and I can check in with myself and understand. And then you get some actual data, some objective measures, if you will, on how you're doing, and you're like, whoa, I'm missing the mark big time. Um,
Mhm.
and I think that's really cool because a lot of people come in here and they, say the same thing. They're like, "Oh, I feel like I'm doing really well, and there's some wellness. I'm really just here for wellness and everything." And that's awesome because we want, like, yes, you are here for wellness. And then we do their scans, and we're like, "Hey, have you noticed things like this, like this, like this, like this, like this go on?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, that I just figured that was stuff I would just live with." And you're like, "Well, what if I told you that we can regulate your nervous system and
Mhm.
help you out there?" And they're like, "That would be amazing. I never even thought that would be possible."
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so that's super cool. Um,
What about you?
nice, man.
Where's a personal win for you?
That has to go more into my objective measures. So I am referral partners and work a lot with my neighbors, Jana Weaver or Radiant Nutrition and Wellness. They're in the middle of a rebranding, but she's amazing. And so shout out Jana and Chantel if you're listening. Um, so we swapped services and I got my in-body scanned, and she said the same thing. She's like, "Man, are you stressed?" And she's like, "Are you working out a lot?" And is that, but are you still stressed? I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Well, your in-body scan." And so anyway, I've also been changing up the diet, cleaning it out a little bit. Um, and I've been really prioritizing some self-care recently, and I pulled the trigger and I got a whoop. Um,
Nice.
because I was like, man, dude, my air conditioner went out last week in the office, and so that was like ultra stressful because when you see moms who are pregnant, the last
Mhm.
thing that they want to do is sit in the 84-degree office and sweat. So I was really, really, really stressed last week. Last week was probably one of the toughest weeks of practice I've had mentally, um, for a bunch of reasons, but um yeah, I did my HRV on my neuropulse, and my heart rate, my activity is at like 98, which like the top score is
Super
like
high.
100.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really high. And
Balance, not so much.
uh my balance score is like 20.
Whoa.
And
Sympathetic or
yeah,
parasympathetic?
oh, sympathetic, bro, like drop,
Yeah.
like down bad. And yeah, and I actually this like whole week I literally, like, I got sick. I got a sinus infection, had a fever, had a headache. It was the first time I have ever actually said that I felt any sort of symptoms. Probably in the past 6 years or something like that. And so I literally was like, all right, man, this is time for me to put my money where my mouth is. And so I went and sweated out in the sauna. I got in the sun. I got adjusted 3 times. I cleaned out my diet. I made sure I hydrated.
Dude,
I went to
that's
sleep.
it's I don't mean to interrupt, but we always talk about how you're literally 6 weeks behind me, like in almost every phase. I
Yeah.
was, for the first time in 4 years, sick 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, I remember that we recorded our podcast and
Yeah,
stuff.
and I
I was like,
sounded
dang.
terrible. So
So
maybe
I'm,
we don't have to. You know how like have you ever heard how sometimes women in the same household can like sync up?
we're
Do you
not
know
syncing up. Stop. Don't go there. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about that. Stop. Anyway, yeah, so I did that and I was like, dang, I really gotta like, if I really want to do this for 20 years and if I really want to like fulfill these visions, man, I gotta take care of myself. Because everything it's like business, 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 sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. And
Yeah.
like we were talking about in the past couple episodes, I really enjoy the grind. Like I like the grind. I like the work. I appreciate the work. Like it feels good to work hard and accomplish. Like that's the thing is like it's really tough to work hard and not accomplish.
Yeah.
But it's even better to work hard and actually see the needle move, which is so cool. But yeah, so I bought a Whoop because I was like, man, I need to prioritize my recovery. I need to prioritize my stress management. And I really hate the Apple Watch. I wear that for a while. I hate it. Makes me feel sick, like an EMF sick, which I
Yeah.
also didn't think was a thing. But yeah, I was like, man, I'm gonna make a little investment in myself. I'm doing well in practice. And this is really a business investment because it helps me track where I'm at in business,
Sure.
and where I'm at in my capacity to serve. So
I mean, basically
uh,
anything that you're doing for your personal health will be a business investment.
that's very true. That so anyway, that was that's my win, man, is investing in myself because I'm also awful at it.
I mean, it goes into the whole conversation of like Russell Wilson and LeBron James paying. People are like flabbergasted when they hear LeBron James spent over $1 million last year in his nutrition and strength and conditioning. It's like, why is that surprising? This dude gets paid 30, 40 million a year to be a professional athlete. And now people are like, why is he spending so much money on his health? It's like, because without his health, he's not pulling in that money.
Health is
Um,
wealth, man.
yeah, and I think that's a huge pro to you or a huge like pat on the back for recognizing so early. I know I try my best to get a massage once a month. And then I
Oh, dude, I've
also,
been getting that too.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, I'm terrible at it because I'll schedule like a meeting on a Friday afternoon, which is my typical massage time. Um, but that's a goal. And then I also just started partnering with a stretch zone is what it's called. And
One
so
across from our gym.
across from our gym, same parking lot. Um, it's next to Whole Foods. It's not Stretch
Anyway,
Lab, Stretch Zone. But
keep going.
anyways, yeah, because muscles get tight, and so I do stretch every day, and at the same time, it's nice to go get some therapeutic activity uh, on the body for sure.
Yeah, dude. I mean, yeah, last Tuesday of every month for me, it's 6 o'clock. That's my massage day, dude. It's been awesome. It's been awesome. I feel like we neglect ourselves so much. And you know what's really cool? I think is like we can do all these things. Like I did this like energy work thing the other day with like essential oils called like a raindrop massage. I did that because somebody gifted it to me, which was awesome. Thanks. Um, but it's so crazy that like we do all these things and how like the public like really likes to equate what we do to like, oh, so it's like a massage, or oh, I get acupuncture, it's
Mhm.
like the same thing. And then like you do those things and you're like, oh, okay, I get it. And then you get adjusted and you're like, I really get it.
Yeah.
Like the
Yep.
feeling is way different.
Hmm.
The way
Like,
like
like to me, the way I have that conversation with people is I compare what we do is not therapeutic. Like your body is going to change a heck ton. Like when I leave a massage, like I want to like be pretty close to falling asleep in the car on my drive home because
I
I'm
fall
just so
asleep every
like
massage.
zenned out, right? That's not the goal of the adjustment. Yes, we're shifting you into that parasympathetic, but we're waking up the nervous system one way or another.
Yep.
And so yeah, and I think having a like a good concept around the difference. So like especially if you're at Parker, that one thing I wish I took way more advantage of was the massage school. Like I never got a massage at Parker, even though it was like $20 or something.
I didn't. It's free.
That's even cheaper than what I was saying. Um, and never took advantage of it. But just to have that understanding of, okay, this is what a massage feels like versus this is what it's like when I get adjusted, or this is what it feels like when I get stretched versus, having that idea. That way you can better communicate and let someone know why they are different because they are different. And there's no need to like say one's better than the other. They just have different ways in which they work, and different. They both work for different reasons.
Yeah, I mean, it's well, I talk to everybody a lot of like, like my job is to take care of everything else that everyone else works on, right? Like what we do is the central nervous system, optimizing that. Everybody else takes care of all kind of every other subsystem, right? So like if you're a zony, and you know all the zone stuff, right? Your glands, elimination, nerves, digestion, muscles, and circulation. There are doctors and providers that deal with all kind of stuff like that, like lymphatic treatment. You have massage, you have acupuncture, you have the detoxes, you have infusions, you have all that stuff, and all that stuff's awesome, and that's in the wellness space. What we do is we take people from the restoration space or having no neurological capacity, and what we do is we set this foundation and we build this house to where the things that they want to do for wellness actually have effect, right? Like everybody wants to have like nice bougie house where we're like hosting all this stuff. It looks like Chip and Joanna Gaines Ville. But all the work that goes on behind the scenes is the thing that actually makes all the nice bougie aesthetic TikTok viral stuff possible, right? So like, and that's what chiropractic is. Chiropractic, what we do is we do all of the work that allows for the behind the scenes things to actually operate like that happens, right? I mean, there's so much behind the scenes work in your business. We come into practice and we think like, oh, the adjustment, that's what I'm going to do. I'm a really good the E-Myth, right? I'm a good adjuster. I should be in practice, and being in practice is going to do that. The nervous system to your practice is your operations, your marketing, and like all those flywheels, those systems, right? The aesthetics of your practice and the things that are nice are the adjustment videos, the results, all those great things. But the nervous system, the thing that's behind it all, is your systems and stuff, right? And so that's what we take care of. And so sometimes you literally have to make an adjustment to the central behind the scenes running things like your operations, your pricing, your marketing to have the external things evolve. And that's something I've been learning a lot with Matt in coaching. Not necessarily learning, but becoming very aware.
Yeah. I feel that a lot too. And it's, really easy analogy is, you can buy the nicest keyboard, the nicest screensaver, the nicest mouse, whatever for your Mac desktop, right? And people know Apple, so I always use Apple. But if you don't have the actual hardware, the really nice hardware software inside of it, there's no point in having the keyboard. The keyboard's useless. And that's how,
right. You're running Windows Excel.
And that's how I equate it when people are like, well, I do the infrared, I do the cold plunge. I'm like, you're doing everything externally, which is great. And if your nervous system isn't able to adapt to it because you're in such stress, you're fighting an uphill battle. And so,
well, that's what I tell people too. I was like, get adjusted. I know you get massages once a month, get adjusted and get a massage and tell me how it's different. And I tell people all the time, it's like, yeah, this phone is great. It does all these crazy things, but if the software that runs it doesn't work, you might as well throw it away. It's just paperweight, right? I literally say like, what's the difference between this and a rock? If there's nothing intelligent inside that actually makes it work, right? There's no difference. And so your body has actually more intelligent systems in it than your cell phone does, right? I mean, we process information way faster than any sort of machine or AI or anything like that can. And so what we want to do is we want to make sure that actually runs properly, and so that all the things that you want to do externally in your life, you can do those and have greater impact. And that's the same conversation that I have and that we should be having with other providers about how we make their jobs easier. Speech for my realm, like pediatrics, birth centers, midwives, doulas, speech pathologists, ABA, physical therapy, fertility, dietitian, functional med, like all these people I have this conversation is like, hey, my job is literally to make your job better. Like,
it's and your job no longer fighting that uphill battle.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the chiropractic is supposed to link arms with the patient and not we don't replace any of that stuff. I literally tell people like, get your acupuncture. You have to work out. Like I can't just adjust you and get a 6-pack because I would have the most abs in the entire world. And believe me, I cannot pound the abs into my body through a lumbar roll. But
But on a totally different topic, let's dive into our main topic, which is the complete opposite of everything that we were just talking internally. Is what is the external vision, Spencer, that you have for yourself You and I were talking pre-recording of goals and things of that nature, which I think too are external motivators to then drive the internal processes. But let's talk a little bit about your goals, and dive into that realm as well.
Yeah, so that was our little pre-podcast rant. Um, so yeah, but Zach and I were talking off air about kind of what are some of our goals, and I got really lit up. I call my mom every day on the way to work, 9:15 to 9:20 ish. So shout out, mom. But anyway, I was like literally
Hold on
like
one second, one
yelling.
second, one second. I have to apologize to my mom because I did not call her before every time to work. So, mom, I'm sorry. Um, but I do try to call once a week. So
She's
let me get
moving
that
here,
in.
so it's fine.
That's true. That's true.
Anyway, so I'm like literally like yelling in the car at my mom about like why I feel like I need to like move into the education space after school. It's because it's literally a shame that chiropractors come out, like literally some of our friends, bro, like people that we know, like literally come out of school being like, there's no way that I can make it in practice. Like there are literally people who are like, dang, I was in practice for a year as an associate. It wasn't for me. And so now I do real estate, or now I sell
Mm-hmm.
cars, or now I'm in roofing. There are literally people like guys in our fraternity that like came through fraternity, did this thing, was like, yeah, it's not for me. So now he's a roofer. Like, that's not a knock to him. That's a knock to the system that prepares people. Because if you like, think about it this way. Well, okay. Anyway, I'm gonna go back to my vision and my external goals, and then we'll talk about why that these are there, to where you guys can have some insight. But I was talking to Zach about like, I'm not a vision board guy, and I hate these kind of things. And like, I was like the person that was like totally against all of it, and of course, I was wrong all the time. And so now I'm changing my narratives because I'm a more self-aware person, and I'm now able to admit when I'm wrong. But I was never a vision board person. I hated writing down goals because it's like, oh, that's so stupid to like lock myself into something quantifiable. Um, but anyway, some of the things that I'm like starting to create in my vision board, like for the longer term, like these are like my shoot for the moon things. Is one, I want to drive a Gateway Bronco. So Gateway Bronco is this company that takes old like 1970s old style Broncos. They make them look uh like completely restored and vintage, like they just came off the lot there, but they have all of the like um new tech, like modern tech. So they anyway, I think that would be sick because it's just something that I feel like I deserve, man. I put in all this work, and I feel like I deserve to own a really cool car, and drive something that I'm like, dude, I earned that, and I put that together for me, and that's so cool. So that's on my list. Is this is like a 20, 30, 40-year vision. I mean, when we're 20 years in practice, we'll be 45 and 47.
46.
You're
Some,
old.
yeah,
Well, yeah.
yeah.
So okay, technically I'll be 44 then, whatever, if we're counting. But yeah, so like that's on the list there. And then recently I just feel like, I mean, I come from a family of educators, and I come from a family of teachers, and so I've always liked to teach. I've always liked to like really cheer people on, and so I think it would be really cool to sit like do like some coaching after I put in my time and my legwork, um and start doing coaching like after my 20 years, like once maybe I hit 40, do that, and then get into education, because I really like to teach. A lot of the teachers that I had in high school and in college, and maybe not so much in grad school, but um uh they were really impactful for me, right? And like literally like you can learn something in one class that can like totally shift the narrative of your entire life. And so
Yeah.
I think it would be really cool. I'd really enjoy putting together curriculums and stuff like that, and like teach people actual information that they really need to learn. So I think that'd be cool. So on my vision board, Gateway Bronco, and then to be able to pull up and at a university somewhere and teach a class, and then eventually move my way up to the board of directors, and then maybe even the presidency of a university. I think that would be cool, to land somewhere in that realm, in the educational space, because people deserve it, man. And this is where I'm going to pick back up on this rant, is because it's ridiculous that I had like 10 years of my life. Like at 15, I decided like this is what God's calling is for me, and I deserve, like the world deserves to know like the impact that chiropractic can have on their life. And to have this passion for 10 years and then have, like literally sit next to people who are like, yeah, I couldn't get into anything else. And so that's what it is. Like we need to hold a higher standard for what we allow into our universities and who we allow into our universities, because there's no way that you shouldn't be going to seminars, going on mission trips, doing the work outside. There's no reason that you shouldn't be doing that. Every single student should be doing that at school. Like when we host our like outside underground adjusting things, like we should literally have the entire school that shows up, and they shouldn't have to be like in the shadows, and like people shouldn't be scared to want to learn how to adjust. Like there's no reason. It's awesome. Accessibility is great. Special circumstances awesome, but it's total BS that you can do half of your chiropractic schooling online and not touch a single person and literally just be like looking at pictures of the spine. Like and what happens is like when we allow that in our universities, what you do is you take that privilege and that miracle away from the families that are literally begging for you to show up into their lives. And so, yeah, we deserve better, and our schools deserve better. Our students deserve better, and people that are going to commit to chiropractic their entire life, like I did, they deserve someone who's going to stand up and fight for them and actually care about their education, and want them to be chiropractors, not just physical therapists and telehealth losers. So that's how I feel about that.
A little passion, which goes a long way. And I could easily be the old man and be like, well, I'm sure there have been many people that have tried to come along and change the curriculum, and it's always up to the person themselves. And I think there is part of that, and that's obviously the quickest rebuttal to you coming on and being like, I'll be president and I'll change everything.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that somebody needs to do it.
Well, and I think too, if you just look back on history of times of great chiropractic, it was typically when Barge was, president at Palmer, or BJ was president, or Fabrizio was president at Parker. And so, history does repeat itself, and our leaders do dictate a lot of the success that comes from, it trickles down, right? It does trickle down, and you can feel it in any organization, whether that be a school or a church, or your
in your own practice,
practice, right? Leadership and development and all of that trickles down. That's why I feel I was so blessed to get to even serve at Shoreline City, because I learned very much that the humility and the service that comes from that church comes from pastors Earl and Anika. I'll never forget the lead pastor, Earl McClellan. We were at a serve huddle, so like right before.
Shout out E. Shout out E.
Yeah, shout out Pastor E. One of the greatest speakers and men of Christ that I've come across in my 4 years of being a Christian. But anyways, that the humility that I learned in that moment, and why this church is thriving the way it is because after a serve team huddle, I turn around and he's right behind me, and it was the first time we meet, and he goes, "Hey man, I'm Earl." And like typically I'm very sarcastic, but I was like so struck, not because it was like the lead pastor of the church, but I was like, why is the dude that literally stands on stage every Sunday and preaches, and like this is his church, introducing himself as if he needs to tell me who he is? And it's because he's just so humble and never wants to assume and things of that nature. And I was like really taken back and learned a lot in that moment. That just because it might be your house or your business, like always introduce yourself and just keep that humility. And so learned a lot on how to lead just from who you are as a person. So I think you're on the right path. It'd be awesome to see you in that role. I mean, we work out a ton, and you're always teaching me when my form goes to crap, how to properly brace and things of that nature. So you are a really good teacher. You're passionate about it. So I could foresee that, especially with you pulling up in the Gateway Bronco. That would be pretty dope. That'd be pretty dope.
Dude, they're sick, man. Yeah. Other things on my vision board, like one of my super lofty goals, like a $5 million a year practice, 10 plus team members, 1,000 a week visits, at one facility. For a while, I thought it was going to be like, oh, I want multiple little ones. Nah, man. One thing, all in, strong, stand together.
Same.
So yeah, those are what I have on there now. These are like that's the thing to chase. And I think why it's so important is because I was talking to one of my buddies and I was like, what is that number for you to feel like what's that like when I get there? Right. Because we always say that, like, oh, when I'm ready, when I get
Mm-hmm.
there, like I'm going to get some experience. I'm going to do the associateship. And when I'm ready, I'm going to open it up. And I always ask my friends, like, okay, what is that for you? Like, what's that number? Like, what's that standard? Right.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like, well, when I can do that, when I can do X, that means I can now strive for Z. Uh, right. And so it's like, man, what's that number for you? And when I started putting those things down, like literally like goal, like when I
Mm-hmm.
get here, I'm going to buy this. When I get this, I'm going to get that. And like when you have this like bigger vision, it's so much easier to see what are the next steps, because it allows you to get, because you know where you're going, you have some direction, right?
Yeah.
Like whenever you
You
like
have you
whatever
have
you
you
learn.
have something you have something to strive for. You're not just
Yeah.
doing monotonous steps to, hopefully wind up somewhere being like, oh, I guess I'm successful now. Um,
Exactly. Like when you learn how to drive, they say like look farther down the road because it keeps you on target. If you're looking
mhm,
at the front of your vehicle, you're going to sway because the
right,
changes that come up in front of you, you notice like the smaller little nuance inconveniences, and so it allows you to sway more because you're paying attention to what's right in front of you instead of what's all the way down the road. And so
right.
you can make actions based on what your destination is, not where what you currently are. And where
That's
you
huge.
currently are is literally going to be based on what your destination is. And so if you have small dreams, you're going to make small plays and you're going to be a small player. If you have
Yeah.
big dreams, then you can at least take bigger steps. And
Mm,
anyway,
yeah.
so I mean, what are your visions, dude? What's up for
I
you?
uh I really hope I think you should, if you're listening, hit the 15-second rewind twice and go listen to everything Spencer just said, because that was amazing. I feel like a proud dad moment because I have always been trying to like preach big vision for you, and now that you're seeing it, not that I'm going to take any credit of that. I think you've been doing a heck ton of work on yourself. It's just really cool to hear you so passionate about that.
Yep.
Because I mean,
What?
we talked about it early on in the podcast. Like I've always been the vision guy. Compared to you and I, like I've always been the vision, and you've been the producer, if you will. And I think you're a force to be reckoned with, as you get
Thanks.
your vision. I think for me, there are similar things. Definitely used to be a multiple office kind of guy. But I had a dream the other day where I signed the lease on buying out my entire building, which would be about 15,000 square feet, I believe, and it just being
Eesh.
chiropractic, here in Colleyville with 7, 8 docs running the scene, like a huge team. Almost, I've always had this idea, um, of bringing back like chiropractic hospitals. So like where
Dude.
you can get checked in, you get adjusted, similar to what BJ was doing. So I could see, I mean, I can see myself, striving for that. That's way down the road. I think that's 25, 30, 40 years. That's kind of like a open as I'm retiring type of establishment. But for goals, this is what we were talking about earlier. I struggle a little bit, where I'm not necessarily like a huge materialistic guy. Like I love my Lululemon pants and I love my 5 or 6 polos. But just the other week we were talking about how I went and bought my first pair of like nice shoes as an accomplishment. Like that was really hard. Like I didn't even know where to start. I didn't know what kind of shoes I wanted. I'd ask like 5 or 6 people, like, "Hey, what kind of shoe should I get?" Because that's just not my thing. Like, I'm not a car guy. Like, I'll be very content. I think I'm gonna get like a Ford Ranger or like a Tacoma for my next car here in the next few months, and that's like I'm very content with that for the next 10, 15 years. However, I am big on the vision I see for myself and Morgan and our future family. And there is a house on the corner of LD Lockett and Bransford here in Colleyville, and it is like my dream house. And it probably costs anywhere from 3.5 to $4 million, and it is like that is the goal. Like I will do. I don't have kids yet, not even engaged yet, but a lot of the work I'm doing is for the vision I see for my family. Um, and so I want to continue the legacy on that my parents have, uh, and their parents have worked so hard to do. I don't want to be the generation that squanders any of that potential. And so I just want to continue building. And that house on LD Locken and Bransford is like, man, that's to me, if we were to ever even buy a house remotely like that, that would be the okay, the work has been worth it. Not that it's time to rest, but like, good job, man. I drive by it almost every day, and that's what I love about my drive from Keller, from my 700 square foot apartment down into my office. I go through South Lake and Colleyville, which are two of the wealthiest cities in the Metroplex. And so I just get to see some beautiful homes, some beautiful cars, and I'm just like, okay, this is where I could be if I continue to keep my head down, to grind it out, and who knows, end up in a beautiful house one day with a beautiful family, that can, if we want to, take a week off and go to wherever. So
have you read Sean and Lacey's book, Sean and Lacey Dill's book, None of Your Business?
Yeah.
Do you remember in the chapter where they talk about how they wanted to be a member of this country club and live in this neighborhood, and how every day from work they literally lived on the other side of town, but every day from work they would drive to the country club, and then they would literally drive up to that house that they wanted to live in, and like 3 years later they're a member of the club, and now they live in that exact house. It's like, man, the actions that you do literally like put you in this mind frame. And I think it's really big to talk about it. It's like, and like you were saying, like how my vision has changed a lot. It's because like, I mean, I'm from a really small town with like a lot of really humble people, like who work like super hard, and that will always be a part. But the vision of like is not always so great. Like the strut, because it's like, I'm good with where I'm at. And just because you have big vision does not mean that you are content and satisfied with what you have. And I think the only way that you actually can dream big is if you are satisfied with where you're at and you're happy with what God has provided for you, because you have to be grateful with what you're provided first before you're allowed more responsibility. And I mean, to see 80 a week is like, so like, I'm so happy here at this moment. And like I was saying before we started, like literally every single time that I'm like, man, I feel really good about the schedule this week, like I have more people that come in, and every time I'm like, oh, I need more people to come in, they literally like don't. It's because you just don't have the space for it. You're needy, and nobody wants that needy guy. But to stay on track with the vision, I think that my vision has grown larger, and my passion for my vision has grown larger, is because I spend more time with people who have bigger dreams than I do.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
You've always been like, I can do more and I can do better. And I've always been the one to say like, oh, well, maybe like if we can get there, and it'll be hard and that'll be later down the road. But I mean, we spend a lot of time together. And so that has bled off on me. And then I listen to Andy Frisella every day, just because he like, is basically like a punch in the mouth every day, and I need that to wake me up. And he's super passionate about everything that he does, and he wants to stand up for the rights for other people, and that's super congruent for me. And then all I do is listen to Tony, who's so fired up about pediatrics, so fired up about business and like business as a chiropractor, and has a huge dream and a huge vision. And then my coach, Matt, he is living the dream, has the big vision, has the big team. So like literally just through osmosis, I'm like raised to their level. And it's a lot different for our friends who are just chilling, like whatever, going to the brewery on the weekend, chilling, skipping the gym, rocking their associateship. And like, dude, you're doing awesome there and stuff. But it's like, I like being in this circle where I feel like I'm playing catch up with everyone else.
Yeah. We talk about it a lot, the 5 people you're around. I also ascribe to, if you're the wealthiest, the most successful person in your circle, if you're the smartest person in your circle, you're in the wrong circle. And I think it speaks, and it builds on last week's episode too, that you gotta get around like world shakers. You gotta get around the people with big visions that when you sit around, and you have a dinner party, or you talk about this, you talk about that. Like one of my good friends that I have been blessed to meet through the chamber. We were just chatting, and we just talk lofty things. He's like, you know what, man, like it'll be really cool in like the next year or so, and like I can just text you like, hey, you want to go play a round of golf in Nashville or in Arizona, and we get on a flight. super last minute to Scottsdale to go play 18 or 36 holes, and we can do that because we have the luxury of all the hard work we're doing. And it's really like one of the first times I have two like some amazing friends from back home that we talk very similar, but we're not around each other daily. One lives in New York, and the other one lives in Boston, so I don't get to have that conversation on a weekly basis. But to like start finding that tribe here is like, okay, like finding the right people, and not that I'm doing all this work so I can go play golf. I'm doing this work because I have a huge heart for serving, and it's all value exchange at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's man, that's the real difference, like there's like a lot of people who are like, oh, I don't want to be the chiropractor, I'll tell about money. And like we think that, oh, if I have I live a very meek life, that means that I don't care about money. It's like, no, it's like, dude, I should be so on fire to serve people and give so much of myself that it by default, like I earn that value back. Like if like literally the value or like your net worth is literally what it means, like you're worth to other people, right? So if I attribute more value to other people's lives, then they should then inherently attribute more value back to me, right? And like I want to be able to have these nice things, or I want to strive for these great things, is because I want to strive to serve people and impact them so much that it's just like
more often when you have those nice things, it's a reflection of what you've done. And one thing I learned from Dylan Mon too, out of the Source St. Pete, was, do you want to go to the chiropractor driving the Toyota Camry, or do you want to go to the chiropractor driving the Porsche or whatever, right?
Well, he drives a Raptor, and he
drives a giant like $100,000 Raptor, right? Super sick truck. Like, do you want to go? Which chiropractor do you want to go to? Like, I know when I had my surgery on my pec, I actually saw my orthopedic surgeon like getting into his car, and it was a Porsche Panamera, like super decked out, like really nice. And I was like, okay, this guy probably is going to do a good job on my pec because he's clearly successful, right? And that is the value exchange he's been given for putting in so much time and effort, not because he's a jerk and not because he's messed people over, but because he's been rewarded for years of hard work.
So man, I guess to kind of wrap everything all up, have dreams, and if you are in a circle of people who don't dream big, then you need to get out of those circles, because if you dream big and you leave everybody else behind, they're like, oh man, I need to catch up, right? So you become the same people that you're chasing for the people who are right behind you. And I think that's awesome. And it's super important, right? It's we set the tone, right? Like you set the tone for your office, you set the tone for your family, you set the tone for your friends, but most importantly, you set the tone for yourself. And so if you're not spending time in the Word, and you're not spending time around people who strive for greatness, then good luck.
That's great wrap up. Again, thank you so much for listening. We definitely don't deserve y'all's ears, but we really appreciate that you're giving us 30 to 40 minutes every day, whether you're in the car, whether you're working out, whatever it may be. And if you did enjoy this episode, please share it with a friend. Pay the fee. We don't run any ads. But if
I did?
And so share it with a friend. Share it with maybe that person that you're trying to inspire to have bigger dreams. And let them know that there are people not too many steps ahead of them doing everything that you're aspiring for. So we really look forward to continuing on with this podcast. It'll be really fun to look back on this episode specifically in, I don't know, 5-6 years and look at where our visions were and see, okay, how have they changed, how have they leveled up? Because that's where we're going. That's where this podcast is going. We're going to continue to level up and be a beacon of light for those wanting to know more on the chiropractic hustle of business. So really appreciate it. We'll see y'all next week. Peace out.
Peace.